What is likely to happen, I don't know if it's going to be next year or 10 years or 15 or 20 years from now, is the emergence of another respiratory disease. It may be another coronavirus, because we know that coronaviruses really, mostly in bats, have the capability of binding to receptors that are in humans. It could be another flu. We're dealing with H5N1 now, which is bird flu, which has taken the somewhat disturbing step of infecting mammals, namely cows and cats and other mammals, which means it's adapting itself more to a human. So my concern, Walter, is that whenever that happens, the next outbreak will be of a respiratory disease that's easily transmissible, that has a significant degree of morbidity.
And we are making this a little bit more dangerous with the cuts and our attitude toward science?
Oh, absolutely.
This is dangerous.
I'm not condemning these people. I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm saying that they're dumb, okay? You haven't figured out that you're being lied to by this machine yet. You're a fucking idiot, and I can't help you anymore.
Aliens, dollar collapse, demolishing of the deep state. Just because they've given you, as a conspiracy theorist, everything you've wanted, don't go on a victory tour just yet. And strengthen your relationship with God.
I know that we're almost in World War III. I just don't care that he's retarded. And everything above that is a disrespect to God.
I'm somebody that thought I could fix this, and I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors.
Looking at the stock market today, I have begun eating my neighbors, unfortunately. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for missing last Thursday. Dangerous retards are in the building. Episode 8. It was a slight delay. It's all on me. It was totally my fault. And I'm just going to own it.
I'm happy
really
to see you owning up to it, right?
Yeah, it's like the growth.
Yeah.
The maturity, even.
It's a great. Let's jump into our first topic. Ian Carroll, is he gay?
Oh, man.
That's not nice. How dare you?
The entire episode.
I think like a quarter of our shows have been dedicated to Ian Carroll. We got to stop.
Yeah, and the remaining 3/4 have been dedicated to the Jews. I'm looking forward today to not touching either of those two things. We just had to get it out of the way up top. But, I mean, that opening clip is actually pretty problematic, is it not? Are we about to do the same thing? Top raises a bunch of good questions. Why do we let this guy talk? Why does he still have a place where he can get in front of a camera, sit down in a nice comfy armchair, and forewarn us that we're going to go through a lockdown again?
Yeah,
I don't understand how that's still happening.
I've got a lot of libertarian proclivities, but like one of them is like when I see that happening, I watched it on mute the first time and I was like, there should be a law. Like he shouldn't even be allowed to, like, they hooked this guy up to a fucking lapel mic and they sat him in a chair. They put a camera on him. Like, 3 of these things should have been illegal. Number one, sitting this guy down, hooking him up to something that is going to amplify his voice and then showing him on a TV screen. Wild. Should not be allowed. Should be persecuted, punished, put in jail, send him to El Salvador with the rest of these fucking gangsters, man.
If we're hooking up anything, it's an electrical chair. If we're tying anything to his neck, it's a noose. I'm not saying that we should do that. I'm not saying that we should do that, and I don't want to do that, and that's only happening in Minecraft. I'm just saying that would be more understandable, is what I'm saying, given what we've been through. Do you think that there's any I didn't realize my face was stuck like that. Give me a second. Do you think that there's any validity to that? I mean, we've had, if you look back before COVID, there were countless conferences and such by people like Bill Gates and all of our favorite talking heads from the lockdowns that clearly preceded this event, where they knew that it was coming. They orchestrated the event.
Agenda 201. Yeah, I mean,
is this another one of those?
They war planned this. Look, I went into 2020 thinking that viruses and pandemics are naturally occurring phenomenon that occur once every 50 to 100 years, and you just kind of have to strap in. Like, it just after 2020 and after the research I did on how that came about, I'm now not even convinced that like viruses are real or that pandemics ever naturally occur. Like that's how far my spectrum has shifted, just because I understand the gain of function research. I understand the fact that they lied about all of this. There's no doubt in my mind, 0% doubt that COVID was man-made. So, so to think like I understand Top's kind of being a little bit playful, saying this should all be illegal to even put a lapel mic on this guy. But here's the reality: it should be illegal what he did, and therefore he should not be free to be doing these speeches. Like, so, I mean, he committed one of the most heinous acts of violation of the Geneva Convention and everything else. So, one, it's galling because he's not in prison. Two, it's astonishing that this man has the nerve to get up there and talk about how, oh, there might be some fucking naturally arising, bats are extraordinarily transmissible and blah, blah, blah. It's like, bitch, you funded it. Yeah. You funded fucking coronavirus research based off of bats. So, yeah, of course that's a thing. We all know that because you funded the fucking research. How dare you get up there and talk about it? So, sorry.
Well, now he's talking about this idea that it could be, a coronavirus. It could be H1N1. Now we have this big concerning jump from avian to mammal. And, dude, I swear to God, I have been hearing that same narrative since like 2006, 2007, 2008. If you go back to the early 2000s and you look at the reports of swine flu and avian bird flu, or H1N1, you will see that constantly those who are working on this gain of function research are concerned whenever it's seemingly, I swear I've been told that it's made the jump from bird to mammal countless times in history before. I don't know how we're still having this conversation, but if you look at it through that context, especially given what we know about, everything that led up to COVID and how they clearly knew it was an orchestrated thing, you look at all the language from those years talking about this has been part of their plan forever. They've been working on this. So if we do get an H1N1 that is, massively detrimental to mammals and it jumps to humans and all of a sudden now it's got a high morbidity rate, and it's incredibly contagious, I'm not going to be able to see that any other way except for you guys.
I think SARS 2012 or whatever it was, like the early 2010s, whatever. I think that was man-made. I think Zika was man-made. I'm pretty sure Ebola. I'm pretty sure HIV was man-made. Yeah. Like at this point, I'm like, I don't know that any of this is naturally occurring. Like I really don't, because I have hard evidence. You guys created something that killed millions of people. So why the fuck would I not assume that everything, especially since we've had these series of outbreaks that have happened in relatively quick succession, like why would I not assume that it's all man-made? Why would I not? Like it's a more logical conclusion that everything that's been happening over the past 40 years has been because of you psychopaths in a laboratory, which, by the way, Anthony Fauci has been in that position more or less for the past 40 fucking years. So I put all of that at his doorstep, all of it. Now, can I prove that? No, I can't.
There's even like, I sort of got into it, not even an argument, but I proposed this weird theory. It's like similar to terrain theory, because now since we're like just out there crazy where nobody knows what's going on, my kids were sick, I was sick, and my aunt was saying how like, oh, there's something like going around, and I kind of made the point, I was like, yeah, something's going around, but it feels like it doesn't affect us until your immune system is low enough for it to actually take hold. So I'm like, maybe this stuff is already in us and it just kind of takes over. And she was like, I'm not going to let you destroy this family with these like talking points. There's so many different, like out of nowhere. And I was just like, cause like, her doctor told her that something's going around. And I was like, I think your doctor's fucking full of shit. And
but that's how effective the programming is, right? Yeah. Like, we're talking about how deep into crazy town are we, Clint's saying that he suspects they're doing this. And, now we have to question even whatever's going on, this kind of seasonal thing that's running through people. I've gone so deep into Crazyville that I can't help but look at what he's doing there as sort of MK Ultra trauma spell casting. You know what I mean? Because so often what they do is they inundate us with a high level of fear, right? And then they offer us the solution. And if you pay attention to Fauci, it's like he's letting it slip. He's sitting in that little chair in the wizard's armchair, and he's telling you to be afraid. And when he's telling you to be afraid, he's doing this kind of shit. Like, I don't know what it is, who talks like that, but he's doing a whole lot of finger wagging. I'm like, I'm to the point, you guys might be they're making it in a lab, and I think that's definitely part of it. I think they're casting spells. I think they're controlling us. They're manipulating us with fear. And if you go, whoa, spells, I just mean perception is reality, and you can speak a narrative into existence. And if you control us with fear, we will adhere to that narrative, realistic or not.
I think this part. Yeah, go ahead, Clint.
I was just going to say, I will say this. One, I appreciate that even when I say what I think is like the most outlandish thing possible, David's like, yeah, that's rookie shit. Like, nah, they're crafting spells.
Casting spells, baby.
They're crafting spells. You're an absolute pussy, Clint. But I will say this though, like I do think that there is also the possibility that, you know, oftentimes because we have been so fear porned, propagandized into being horrified of this shit, that like just naturally occurring colds and flus, which I don't even know if fucking flus are naturally occurring at this point anymore, but just to be clear, you know, that you can basically like convince yourself that you have something very serious, and like it's just amazing to me how easily manipulable the masses are based off of what their TV and what their favorite doctor is saying to them. And a good evidence of that is the story that you told, Top, where like your relative is concerned that you're going to destroy the family because you're questioning whether or not there's a virus going around. It's amazing the power that it still holds over people, even after they all know. They have to know that they were lied to for fucking years from these people.
Well, her quote was something like, I'm not going to let you keep destroying this. So I was like, oh, this has been like a discussion between other people. I figured, but they've never watched the show. But I'm like, yeah, because like whenever they say something, I'm like, you know,
it's
like
loaded.
this. Yeah, but I will tell them, I'm like, I think that's bullshit. We never landed on the moon. Like, stop. You know, things like that. And I guess it's just been it's been boiling under the surface.
I can't even imagine the dynamic between you and your family at this point. I mean, you're so far gone to have a conversation with normal people. Like, how do they all just
I'm able
laugh?
to. Well, because I like float between this, like I'll entertain them, but then I'll also be like, but not really, you know? And then I'll hit them with some facts, and then they have to like, they're like, whoa, this guy told us a bunch of crazy shit, but then he told us all these facts, and then they look at it and they're like, oh my God, that's true. Oh my God, that's... So they don't really know what to do. And it's like, it's kind of fun to fuck with them, but at the end of the day, I don't know how much is helping, but you know, I'm not going to sit there and let them say some of these things, because I think David's partially right about the spell casting, and here's why.
Well, let me put that really quickly though in a window that people can understand, so it doesn't sound so crazy. Everybody's comfortable with the placebo effect, right? This is a real effect. If you can believe something, then your mind somehow can overcome something. So if you believe that you're getting healthier, or if
that's
you
all
believe...
I was describing earlier. It's just placebo. Yeah.
But I think it goes beyond that. Placebo is where we're comfortable stopping at right now as a society. But it's so akin to spell casting, which previously we said didn't exist. Now it's like, oh, well, studies show that you're right, but it's just not what you think it is. So if we can believe in a pill that's just a placebo, it's a sugar pill, and it actually makes us better, and that betterness is measurable, right? You can actually see signs of improvement in someone's health. What happens when you get people to believe or internalize something that's negative, something like fear or something like that? So if we can manifest something like that in our own health, maybe when you get an entire swath of people to internalize something that is incredibly horrifying and negative, you can get them to manifest that on the world stage.
It's a poison placebo pill, basically. Yes. I think it's very real. And in fact, I think that probably fear is more detrimental to your health than hope is beneficial to it. Like if you are being fear-mongered 24/7, like I just remember the 2020 era. It was just like everyone was falling apart, and drug addiction, suicides, everything else. So like, yeah, dude, I think that the poison placebo pill is far more potent than the other one.
And this is why the Bible tells you to fear not so often. But I'm sorry, I cut you off, Top, while you were saying that I was correct. I was just so excited to hear it.
Strengthen your relationship with God.
That's right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. So please continue, Top.
Oh yeah,
about my
Crisis King. There we go.
Based. There we go. There it is.
Every week we're gonna get one.
No, it's I think it's true. I think that they work hand in hand. So there's like that scientific aspect of it, the pharmakia, which is actually kind of like wizardry if you trace it back to its roots. But you need that aspect to be, this physical aspect to be put out into the world. But to lower people's immune system, I really do think that what they're doing there, kind of like feeding us this fear, does lowers people's whatever you'd like to call it, makes them more susceptible to not just propaganda, but I think even disease and things like that. So it's what he's doing out here is just more. It should literally be illegal. if we're looking at it in that sense, it's like you can't do this to people anymore. We already let you do this for 4 years or 3 years when you had your time in COVID. We just can't allow you to do this anymore. You got to take this guy off the world stage.
You know, to pull the magic out of it for people that get upset whenever I say this shit, here's a version of it you're willing to accept, just like placebo. Stress lowers your immune system. If they keep you in a constant state of stress, then you're constantly susceptible to getting sick. And that doesn't even necessarily have to be a gain of function thing. I'm not even sold on that narrative we went through during COVID, just because you then have to explain to me that if this thing was manufactured in a lab and it was actually dangerous, why then the flu numbers just vanish? For the first time in history, they vanished. I mean, they went from millions dying of the flu annually to like a few thousand for the first time in history during the time when they were recording the COVID numbers. But that spell casting works in the other direction. I don't know if you guys want to go here yet, but we had a spell casted on us, and that spell was that this administration was going to fuck on behalf of us. And it seems that that's not the case, given what's going on with RFK recently. Clint, you were talking about it a little bit before the show. I don't know if you want to jump into that.
Yeah. Do you want to pull it up?
Yeah. Top, I don't have access to it right now.
I got it. Give me a sec.
Okay.
All right. So just to
ahead.
give the backstory while he pulls it up, there's a book that is dedicated to the ineffectiveness, just to put it mildly, of the MMR vaccine, which is the measles, mumps, rubella. And sorry, it's queuing. So yes, this is, and there was a foreword written to that book that's dedicated to how this vaccine was ineffective, ultimately dangerous, written by Bobby Kennedy Jr. And then yesterday he tweets out, the most effective way to prevent the spread of measles is the MMR vaccine. And so I pulled the foreword that he wrote to the book dedicated to how no one should be giving millions of kids the MMR vaccine, and I juxtaposed it with his announcement as the head of HHS late last night. He went down to Texas to visit this family whose child, like, there was this huge story about how this kid had died of measles, but then in fact a bunch of doctors also that were, you know, in Bobby's camp kind of went down there or started to research this, and it came out that, like, yeah, that's probably actually not what killed this kid. Wow. So the fact that he's doing this and posting this from his, you know, government account, and then you juxtapose it with what he had to say here, which is they have been misled into believing that measles is a deadly disease. Measles outbreaks have been fabricated to create fear that in turn forces government officials to do something. They then inflict unnecessary and risky vaccines on millions of children. So Bobby Kennedy is saying this in a foreword to a book dedicated to the ineffectiveness of the MMR vaccine, and then tweeting out the best way to not get measles is to take this vaccine. It's like, I know people have kind of poo-pooed Candace Owens and Ian on this topic of him being blackmailed because they didn't provide, you know, the smoking gun evidence, but there is something to be said for just like this amount of evidence of like conflicting statements from this guy that just you can't reconcile these. Like, they're irreconcilable.
It's wild. I poo-pooed Ian Carroll because when he said that, because it's like, yeah, we knew, but you're just now coming forward with it now, saying that, like, this is, then he said he had information on it, and I mean, the information that he had on it was basically the same. What information? That rabbi sitting next to RFK Jr. as he, you know, does a forced apology, or him like f***ing up when Dave Smith asks him about Israel. It's like, yeah, this stuff's been out there. We kind of knew about it. I'm glad that it's being represented. I just wish that, like, when people...
Well, here's your top. Let me interject, because I think the reason that it matters now more than it did prior, because I saw all those things that you're describing, and I talked about them. I was the one that made the clip with Dave and Bobby go viral, because I posted it, and I was like, you want to see the longest pregnant pause in human history? And it's like, I mean, it looked terrible, but like, my argument was, and my argument still is, that was on the campaign trail. Like, you don't know... there's always this belief, at least from my end, that there is a chance that someone with good intentions lies on the campaign trail saying things that they don't believe in order to get into office and to do good, you know? So the fact that he's still saying this after he already has the position is where it starts to become more evident to someone like me who has that mental framework that, okay, yeah, he's probably being blackmailed.
So do you
wanted to
think that
explain.
that's a matter of after Trump secured the presidency, right? So it seems like the Trump administration got in place, and then, something happened that didn't happen before when they were running these as
no,
campaign.
I'm saying that they were blackmailed the entire time, probably, but like you don't know that they're not just saying what they need to have donors back them, to have the media leave them alone until they actually get into a position of power. Once they're in that position of power, if they continue to say that shit, well, then there's another exogenous force that's being applied to them, whether that's a threat against his family or blackmail of him doing sexual shit that is unspeakable. I don't know. Or he sold out, or he's a MK Ultra, whatever that term is. What's a
like a puppet? I don't think so. I don't think he's an MK Ultra puppet. He does look like, he's admitted to being on the flight logs, or at least the Lolita Express. Right. To what level? I don't know. We spoke with Nick Bryant. He's the guy that published the Black Book, Epstein's Black Book. And
Manchurian candidate. That was the word I was looking for. Sorry,
okay.
Right.
Waiting to be activated by the worm in his brain.
Yeah.
I don't think he's waiting to be activated. I think he's like an unwitting participant in whatever's happening here. He's got a good name, he's got a decent record, and he's got a good track record with the left. So it's like it should have been the perfect person to kind of move forward some agenda. I don't know how that's working out for them right now, because the left doesn't seem to like him. The right is a little suspicious of him. So I don't know exactly where it goes, but I think the blackmail that we're looking at probably does go back to this Epstein flight log thing. He's been on there a couple of times. I don't think it's crazy to say like, hey, you're a confessed sex addict, former sex addict.
Right.
What did you do? What do they know about you? Why aren't you doing what you said? How come the administration that you put forward to begin with, one that we knew about behind the scenes, how come that's not what you went with? Why are you doing what you're doing now? These are all valid questions to ask this guy.
Well, I just gotta interject real quick, because there's also, this isn't just me. This isn't just like the semi-fringe conspiracyville that's saying this. Del Bigtree, who's one of the doctors who's very famous for having gone against the COVID narrative and going against vaccine safety and everything else. He's very good friends with Bobby. He's worked with him for years. He responded to that tweet that I just showed you guys, saying more or less what we're saying now. Like, what the fuck is this? But then he also said, I do understand that like there are pressures that are applied under the government, that you have to frame things in a certain way, whereas your actions may be different than what you're actually saying. And he tries to like give him an out. I'm just saying, like, this is not just me. This is a bunch of these, frontline fringe doctors that became very popular during that era that are also saying to themselves, this is fucking weird. This is super weird. So everyone that's just writing off us and Ian and Candace and everybody else, it ain't just us. Like, these are the people that know him best, and they're also concerned. So I just wanted to add that I think that lends credence to the argument that there's something awry here.
There's another interesting concern as well, where it's like it's almost being served to us on a silver platter in a way, right? So you've got RFK Jr. saying one thing and then doing another, and it's so obvious. Like, he's like, well, hey, bro, eliminate Red 40. And he's like, anti-Semitism. It's like, okay, what are we talking about? But it's very obvious, and it's put on this platter for people to notice it. The same way the Epstein files, that was given to those right-wing reporters, like Cernovich and DC Drano, and they went out, and it was a huge embarrassment. But when you look at it closer, they were never there. Like you said, Clint, they were never there for that. They were there for some other reason. And there was a photo op set up outside of the White House to catch them with these big stupid files and make them look retarded. And then there's like this big public outcry. The question is like, okay, the public wants this, and now we're being built into like this fever pitch of wanting this. We want our, America to be healthy again. We want these things. We want to, if not eliminate the vaccine schedule, we, like most of America, probably wants to at the very least fix it or see some studies on it, Yeah. And it's like there's a huge light being shown on that right now by the hypocrisy that's evident everywhere. So is somebody doing this on purpose to build this like this fever that America has? Like, is the Epstein file, are Epstein's actions not big enough already that we need to continue to build this until it gets to this point where people are going to be screaming in the streets that we want this, we need this now?
Yeah.
That's just what it feels like.
No, it's a very fair question. Basically, like what you're saying is the rug pulling so egregious that it's intentional to radicalize people further?
Super egregious.
Yeah, and it is. And I will say this too, and I can't give the source, but I had an insider who was talking to me about, Kash Patel and Bongino and whether
That's
or not
another guy, Kash Patel. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, that's why I'm bringing it up now, is because it adds to this case that, like, apparently there is no movement, according to this one source, so take it with a grain of salt, but apparently there is no movement from Cash, et cetera, to go after the corruption within the FBI, the people that hunted down J6ers. The reason that this is being talked about now is because he just promoted to, I think it was the DC field office, which is probably the most powerful in the country. This guy who was he was the primary dude who was hunting down J6ers. And Cash, who spent 2+ years, maybe longer, campaigning on the J6 prosecutions are unjust and blah, blah, blah. Everybody that's involved with this is fucking corrupt and evil. He promoted that guy. So, like, your point about if there is an intentional rug pulling that's so egregious to try and radicalize people, like, it's a fair question. And then you have the Trump administration rolling out these tariffs, which, you mind if I explain a little bit about this?
Please, because I'm an idiot and I don't understand this at all.
Okay. So from a libertarian's perspective, tariffs are taxes, therefore we oppose tariffs. However, my perspective has been that, yes, we oppose tariffs and yes, we oppose taxes. However, there are all these other nations that are applying tariffs to our goods. So wouldn't it be good if we had a president that tried to negotiate threatening tariffs to get them to lower theirs? So that was the framework. That was kind of the sales pitch that Trump had when it came to the tariff rollout, that he was going to, threaten a ton of tariffs and then basically structure them on reciprocity, where whatever you tariff us, we're going to tariff you. You lower yours, we lower ours. Okay, it's kind of mutually assured destruction, right? And then at the last minute, they changed that paradigm and they decided to structure it based off of trade deficit. So how much do you sell us versus we sell to you? And if that's not equal, well, then fuck your mother. Like, that's the whole pitch, which is the craziest thing that you could ever imagine. Like, do you think that it's possible for Laos to buy as many goods from us as we sell, or as we buy from them? Like, the answer is no. You're never going to have equitable trading with every nation. It's a fucking infantile way of looking at economics and trade. Like, literally nobody looks at trade that way. You're a fucking idiot if you look at it that way. So Trump, after getting his entire team, his Lutnick and all these other fucking economic advisors, to structure reciprocity, where it's going to be based off of how much have you been charging us? What are the non-tariff trade barriers that you're applying to us? How are you manipulating your currency? What are every single way in which trade has been unfair? And he says, we're going to calculate our tariff reciprocity based off of that. He then, with 24 hours before the rollout, changes the paradigm entirely, discards all of that work that those guys had been working months on, and just says, we're going to craft the tariff percentage based off of trade deficits. It's such a rug pull, and this is why the economy is so fucked right now, why Asia's on fire and every fucking stock market across the world is basically down massively, is because it's just the craziest thing you could ever do. And I'm just saying that adds to this narrative about, like, rugging on every single thing that you've promised in such an egregious way that it makes people lose their fucking minds. And is it intentional? I don't know.
It almost has. Look, for me, it has to be intentional. Not that I believe it's intentional. I mean, in order for me to be correct, it has to be intentional, because you guys remember we started off this show with me beating this drum that there was going to be this massive vindication train for the Trump administration. It was going to galvanize people to the Trump administration, and we were going to see wins on all these levels. And the reason that I thought that is because I think there's something else going on behind the scenes, as I'm an unhinged conspiracy theorist, but I also thought it was a layup, meaning so much of the things that plague us could have been easily addressed by the Trump administration. And the way that he went through with his executive orders when he first got in, to me, was an indicator that I was on the right track. Now, all of a sudden, they're doing so many things that are so obtusely retarded, and people are becoming disenchanted with the administration rapidly. So I'm like, in order for me to be correct, this has, because I didn't see any of this coming. I thought for sure it would have been very easy. We were just going to get everything that we wanted because that's the way the theater was shaping up. So in order for me to be right, I got to toss my coin in the whole, this is an obvious rug pull to get us to react in some way, shape, or form.
I disagree. I mean, I don't know how people didn't see this coming. This is all part of his book. This is my tweet on the matter. So the European Union folds and offers a 0 for 0 tariffs, which is what the original trade was. But Trump was like, I want more. And I agree. This is good, but we're going to need more. You fucking psychopaths have been running the show for quite a while and doing this insane shit to us for a long time. And I feel like when you're negotiating with somebody who is not rational, most of these people, they have like 200% tariffs on like basic goods just because they can. When you're negotiating with somebody, you always ask for more. And when they give you what you wanted, do you stop there? These aren't your friends. Fuck these people. There's going to be a lot of suffering in the short term, but I don't see how you rectify this and it has any longevity unless you really smack the shit out of these people. And you have to do it hard, and now is the time. So there's going to be suffering. And libertarians talk about this all the time. If you're going to have a correction of the market, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be really bad. But there has to be a correction. It has to be an overcorrection if you want it to be stable, or at least the way you were predicting that you were going to have it in the first place.
I got to make the libertarian defense here, because it's like, if yes, we all prescribe, taking your medicine, which is like going back to sound money, dealing with the national debt, everything else that like we would like to see done. But Trump's not doing that. He just a month ago or less was the basically deciding factor on whether or not that continuing resolution was going to be supported by the GOP, which ultimately nullified all of the hard work that Doge had done and continued the spending paradigm that had existed under the Biden administration in his last year of his presidency. So there's the mixed messaging on this is what concerns me. It's like, this doesn't, like, if you want to take your medicine, which I agree with you, we ought to. Like, we need a deflationary wave. We need housing pricing to come down so that young people can afford homes and all that. Like, I'm with you on that. But that's not really what he's doing. Like, what he's doing is he's creating economic calamity because he's intentionally being misleading on so much of this tariff policy and essentially just constantly changing or moving the goalposts on like what he wants so that no one can acclimate. And no matter what you feel about like his intention here, you have to understand that the economy is always forward looking, that you're only going to deploy capital and make capital expenditures into, building labs and building facilities and factories and everything else if you have guidance, if you have some level of clarity on what's going to happen. At this point, no one on the planet has clarity. No, like they can't even guess at what's going to happen. So what you're going to see as a consequence of that, and if you're a trust the plan type, you go, this is all intentional. But what I'm saying is, like, this is going to force anybody who's paying attention to sit on their assets, which means that you create a deflationary wave which crashes everything. So if you're doing that intentionally, okay, but like, what's the real game plan here? Because I can't decipher it at this point. It just looks like he's creating havoc for the sake of havoc. And I think that that's why the market's reacting how it is, and I don't blame them. As a former money manager, that's what I would be doing. I would be fucking going to cash aggressively or going to T-bills or and now to give the trust the plan people their due, the argument of them going to T-bills is that he's trying to beat down interest rates so that we can refinance this $9 trillion of our debt at a lower rate later this year. Like, okay, that's all possible, but that's only a couple $100 billion savings. The federal government spends $6 to $7 trillion annually. So we're talking about a fraction of the federal budget. But Trump is still pushing continuing resolutions that fund the government fully at the highest levels in human history. If you juxtapose those two facts, it doesn't vibe. It doesn't make any sense. So I can't make heads or tails of it, is basically what I'm saying.
Well, have you considered that this is his way of ripping off the Band-Aid and just being done with it? I mean, that could fix things, no?
But you can rip off the Band-Aid in a much more effective way, is what I'm arguing.
It was just a rip off
but
the Band-Aid.
What's the point?
Oh, yeah. Well, then I'm convinced he's doing the right thing.
What's the point here, Clint? I mean, so the people that are trusting the plan are incorrect because they think that it's going to go back the way things were and that he's going to be able to rectify this. But the truth of the matter is, libertarians know this. Everybody knows this. The dollars that we're talking about in spending are they need to die. This whole thing needs to go away. The
Well,
nefarious
we
part,
need just to add to your point, we need to absorb the trillions and trillions of additional currency units that were flooded into the global economy from 2020 to 2022. So like you can make an argument that that's what his economic team is attempting to do, but like when you're
What do you
in
mean
charge
by
of a
absorb?
country, well, I mean evaporate. I mean destroy. Like
Okay.
so from some estimates, there was approximately 15 trillion in U.S. dollar terms that was printed from 2020 to 2021 globally. So if you convert all of those currencies, sure, they're euro and yen and everything else, but if you convert them all into U.S. dollar terms, the estimate is that it was about 15 trillion motherfucking dollars that was printed in 2 years, which is the craziest thing that's ever happened, ever. So if you want to absorb the inflationary pressure that the entire world's been languishing under for the past 3 years, well, you create a deflationary wave, you create a stock market crash. What happens in that period is that all of this paper wealth that had been accumulated as a consequence of the inflationary pressure that you created by the printing press, you can evaporate trillions of it. In fact, he has. Trillions of dollars have been evaporated from the markets, from the global markets. I mean, I'm just talking about the American market. You go fucking across the world, I don't know how much is evaporated over the past week. Like, it's a huge amount. So, yeah, you could make that argument. I just think that there's a lot better ways to do this, and I don't understand it.
I don't think they even really care how they do it. It doesn't look like we're going to be going over to anything that resembles the dollar. Like evaporating the dollar and resolving its issue so that $1 is worth $1 is not on their agenda. Their agenda seems like moving us over to some kind of digital cryptocurrency. So if that was my agenda, I wouldn't care. I would want my CR bill passed because it has some shit that I want. And then I would just play with the money however I want. And it's like we're going to slide over real nice. People are going to be asking for this cryptocurrency or this digital dollar because the dollar is going to be completely worthless. So that's just what it seems like he's doing to me. So when we're talking about, I don't know, like the monetary spending and like I don't understand how you guys aren't seeing that this is unsalvageable anyway. And how he does it, I don't know.
I'll put on my black cap and analyze this from like full Whitney Webb status. But before we do that, I'm going to kill the stream on my X. So if you're watching right now, please go over to YouTube. Dangerous RTRD. Is it RTRD or RTRDs?
It's RTRDS, Dangerous RTRDS. And guys, you're going to want to do that soon because we're soon going to be talking about black people. So that's like a couple of topics from now, but you don't want to miss it. We fleshed out all these platforms, guys, on YouTube, on Rumble, and elsewhere. Please go and subscribe to Dangerous RTRDS.
Before you cut the stream, can we just let's just show some super chats that we had here. So we had a $2 super chat from Eric John, Pizza Artist. Did you guys see the Susan Humphreys episode of Rogan? No. Thoughts? I thought it was pretty fascinating, especially the stuff about tetanus and polio. I will check it out.
I saw a good chunk of it. Yeah, I mean this lady seems legit.
Okay, I will check that out. And then
I've stopped listening to Rogan because I will not be Laurel Canyoned. Thank you very much.
Blake Derrick says, look into RFK Jr. murdering his wife that committed suicide. Very interesting. I've looked a little bit into it.
Man, he killed the lady after she killed herself. That's crazy.
It's wild. Double murder. Yeah. Put him under the jail.
Stabbed in the heart twice.
Yo, I'm gonna be wiping us out off of my X. So if you're watching right now, Dangerous RTRDS on YouTube, come check us out. If you want to support me at Liberty Lockpod on X, subscribe. I'll follow you back. We are off of X. Bye.
Right. Bye, everybody. Okay, please continue, Clint.
All right. So I just wanted to talk about like if I go full Whitney Webb and I want to really think about what you could be doing. So you create such economic calamity that ultimately the Fed, yes, you do beat down interest rates, which allows you to refi, but then simultaneously you're basically trying to create such economic calamity that the Fed starts QE, that they start to basically pump currency and artificially juice this economy, and then you just go all in with something crazy like a war against Iran. And then the currency starts to really become confetti because we're now fully like Weimar status and we're just printing to stay alive. You destroy the currency, you migrate into Tether or some other stable coin as they're already talking about rolling out. And you have already front ran that market because you've already deployed, like all of your inner cabal has already deployed their capital into that asset class, and therefore the the power structure as we transition from the U.S. dollar to some other currency, you get the lion's share of the benefit. Like I could go that way, and then you have the reason that Elon's got in bed with Trump is because he's on top of everything, but he's on top of the automation and robotics, and their entire plan here is that we create such enormous trade barriers that we don't give a fuck what happens to the economy. All we want to do is get these companies to start to produce their goods in America so that they can avoid the tariffs, and then we don't give these jobs to Americans. We just fucking bring in Elon's robots. There you go. And then Elon becomes the overlord that controls everything. Our financial titans control the currency, and Bob's your uncle. We've officially transitioned into the kings of the next century.
That's what we've been.
There you go,
looking
Whitney.
towards.
I can fucking do it too. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, that's dependent on what lens you're looking through. It almost doesn't matter because it's the same thing. It's whether or not you're Alex Jones, right, who's been doing this since the 90s, I think, worried about this new world order, this consolidation of power, this consolidation of a world currency. It doesn't matter like through which lens you're seeing this. It's all moving in the same direction, whether it's, you know, people who are blowing the horn about transhumanism or something like that. Everything is moving towards them controlling the means to production, them controlling just one currency. You know, out of this, we'll probably get some sort of birth world religion. All we need is a little bit of like UAP disclosure, and that thing is ticked off. So, you know, right now it's very nuanced because we're seeing all the machinations in front of us at this moment, but people have been talking this shit for years, man. And it's all just a movement towards consolidation of power. You establish or you determine what is powerful, and they will determine how they consolidate it. And we're pretty much to that point right now. It's all the same shit, baby. Do you guys want to move on to the blacks and the chest stabbings? I don't know how to present that to people. This is actually something.
Do you guys want to move into the racism segment?
Do you guys want to go into the racist segment? We didn't talk about the Jews, and we didn't talk about. There was something else. I forgot what it is.
Yeah,
but
let's leave the Jews alone this week and just go to the blacks.
It's going to be hard. There's been some stuff about Dave Smith that I would like to talk about. But yeah,
well, you can't call him a Jew though. You have to just
Clint,
call him Dave Smith.
You had a little bit of a different opinion on this than I did with this guy's father. So what happened here is
I don't think we have that dramatically opposed opinions, but we'll get into it. Go ahead.
Can we tell the whole? Let's start from the whole story because I'm out of the
Go
loop on this a little bit. I don't know if cause my understanding peripherally is that there was I guess this was in school. There was an altercation where two young white lads asked a black lad to move out of their seat, and then somehow this ended up getting the white dude stabbed in the chest twice.
There's conflicting reports. According to the defense attorney, they told him to leave, but then basically threatened him. They broke his cell phone, and then this kid defended himself by stabbing the dude in the heart. You know, which is how I defend myself. This, I think it was at like a sporting event, like a school sporting event. Yeah.
And this is who did it. This is Carmelo.
Carmelo.
I'm sorry, Carmelo.
Yeah, his name is Carmelo Anthony. Shout out to the New York Knicks and Denver Nuggets superstar.
So this is Matt Walsh. He says thousands of people in the black community. You want to bring that back up real quick, Tom? Sure. Thousands of people in the black community have rallied against Carmelo Anthony and given over $160,000 to his family as a reward for murdering a white kid, which is fascinating because Matt Walsh, he wrote this tweet earlier about it, and more or less what he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, if there were two kids in an altercation, one got stabbed and the other one did the stabbing, and I told you one was black and one was white, the vast majority of people would determine that it was likely the black one who did the stabbing. And then he went on to say that black people are disproportionately violent in comparison to white people, and this needs to be addressed. And, you know, I just want to say to Matt Walsh, I did it first. Okay, I went viral to the extent of 18 million views on my tweet about just virtually the same thing. I got doxxed.
Dayquil.
Yeah, I called the kid Dayquil. I got doxxed, and they called CPS on me. And I would like to congratulate myself because about a few weeks ago, I finally got past that 60-day investigation period with CPS, and all because I said that black people are disproportionately violent in comparison to white people.
I can't believe you had CPS called on you for that. But here,
I had to have him walk through my house and everything. It was fucking fantastic.
So this is the father of the boy who was murdered. So
okay.
let's play what he has to say.
It's very unfortunate that this other child decided to make a bad choice that's going to affect him for the rest of his life. I have compassion for every human being, This is not, I want to make this very clear. This is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't want someone stepping up on a soapbox trying to politicize this. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online that people say there was this fight and they don't know, they weren't there.
All right, what do you think about this? Because you had an opinion. You were saying that you kind of agree with the father here.
That's not at all what I said.
I see what's
But I
going on.
love how you have to strawman my position to set yourself up to dominate me in the debate.
Clint the race trader.
No, that was not my point. My point was Kevin Sorbo and others that have shared that clip. I mean, Kevin Sorbo.
From
he's
now
got-
on, you'll refer to him as Hercules. if
Yeah,
you're watching
Hercules has 2.4 million followers on X, and he's saying this is not how a father should act, and he just tweets this out. And my entire point in this is that I don't agree. Yeah, there you go. I don't agree at all with what this father has to say. I don't agree at all with how he's reacting to the murder of his son. Now, granted, I'm not a dad, and I hope to never have a child murdered. So I don't know exactly how I would react, but my expectation of myself would be that I'd probably go completely insane and try and hunt down whoever killed him. And if they're already in a prison cell, I'd probably just lay in my bed for the next year. Like, I'd just be so emotionally destroyed that my son had been murdered. I don't even know how I would react. I certainly wouldn't be talking to the fucking media unless like we were trying to hunt down his killer and I needed help. Like that's the only reason I would possibly be talking to the media. So I don't agree with anything that this guy had to say, and he doesn't know if it was racial or not. And the fact that he's just like shit lib retarded about it is all kind of, a standard expectation of a boomer. Like that's kind of how they look at the world. So
Touché.
not defending anything about this. All I'm saying is if you're using a father in mourning and him saying dumb shit as an opportunity for clicks and traction on social media, I think you're a monster. Like I'm just saying, do you think because of what he has to say in this moment that he deserves additional pain and to have people, hunting him down and fucking standing outside his house and screaming at him? Because that's the type of shit that happens when you have someone like Kevin Sorbo post that. It's like, I just wouldn't do it. That's all I was saying. And I stand by that. I think it's wrong.
You think he's scared of the black community targeting him for saying anything? Like in private, he must be like these fucking, you know what I mean? Is that what you're getting at?
No. I don't even think that he's afraid of the black community. I think he's afraid of his white, shit lib friends that go, look at it. Your son was murdered, and now there's, a race war is about to break out because all these people are saying this is about race, and you didn't fucking, So I just think he's a coward, but at the same time, like, he just lost his kid, man. Just leave him alone. That's all I'm saying.
I will say you're probably making a bunch of crazy decisions because not only are you dealing with the emotional aspect of your son dying, but you're also, and in a brutal fashion, but you're also dealing with being inundated. And it might not be coming directly to him. I'm not saying this guy has
Guys,
a
if
Twitter
this show
account.
ever gets like big enough, I want to every week we do it. I just want to propose that there's a race war, like how Tim Pool has his Civil War. I just want to be like, there's a race war on.
No,
on
I don't
the
want to. I want to
horizon.
recommend. I want to advocate for a race war. So
we're not warning about it. We're propagating it.
we're telling you to do it in Minecraft. So I mean, yeah. As far as the emotional kind of chaos of having your son die and then being inundated with all of this crap about it, I saw some of the tweets that random black folk on Twitter were posting, and that's certainly not representative of the whole, but it's still jarring a lot of sentiments of like, this boy deserved to die. I even saw some black chick saying, if you, and this was confusing, but she said, if you fuck with a pit bull long enough, you're bound to get bit. And I was like, you just called, I'm not sure what you're saying here. I'm also not sure that I disagree. So look, man, it is a weird, I wish we could leave him out of it. And I'll say that I didn't see the entire clip. I don't know what this entire interview was about. This dude could have been given, do we have any idea how long he was given press? Because if you're up there for a long time and you're just rambling and rambling, eventually you're going to say some dumb shit.
I don't know.
Case in point. But
I honestly, I tried to ignore this entire story. when Kevin Sorbo posted that, I was like, too far. This is too far. Like this
No, it's good
father,
to stand against
this
Hercules.
father just got fucking killed, man. You got to back off. Like,
You know what it is? What it is that it's a reflect. I understand what Kevin Sorbo is doing. He's doing it for clicks, but for me, this is a misunderstanding of the culture and not not just a misunderstanding, but a neglection of the culture. This is very boomer-esque. Like they're living in the society that they think is going on around them, but in fact, it's not. And now you've been presented with the truth of the society with your son's funeral. And I was corrected. I said that they ended his bloodline, but no big deal because it's not it wasn't a race thing. But he had twins, the son that died. Yeah. So there was another guy.
No, this is a really important aspect of this. His twin brother held him as he bled out.
Yeah. No, I'm saying it's fine. So he didn't end his bloodline, Clint. There was another one, so it's okay.
Yeah. No, I know. I know, but I'm just saying, like, just imagine being in that situation as a father, where you've got two boys, one of them's brutally murdered, and the other one held him as he died. It's like, I just don't expect perfection from anybody within 48 hours of that happening. Like, that's all I'm saying. Leave this fucking guy alone. If you want to have a debate about what he had to say and everything else, okay, fine, but just like stop sharing him. Like, I just don't want him to become famous because of the worst thing that could ever happen to a dad. It just sucks.
Yeah.
It misses the point. The point that I'm trying to make here is that, like, these people are so ignorant of the culture and the times that we're in. Like, I can't imagine how I'd react, but also my kids are not going to be in that situation. Josie says, I saw his soul leave his eyes, and then so did mine, the brother. Yeah.
Horrifying quote.
You put your kids in that situation, Dad, because you're not fucking paying attention. And this is my problem with what he's doing here. You're repeating talking points that you've seen on the CW. You watch Smallville or some shit like that, and this was what you got from it. Or we were just talking about Robert Kirkman's Invincible, which has been completely neutered from the comic book that it was to some woke piece of shit. And you watch this, you internalize it. This is the world that we live in. It's all fine. It's a hard message to say, but it's like, yo, I can't have my kids grow up around this kind of shit where if there is a small altercation, my kid gets stabbed in the heart by some fucking animal. And animal, not regardless of skin color, although this could have been avoided if you just don't live next to this shit. There's a certain behavior that, whatever, truth time. There's a certain behavior that comes with this. I've grown up and I've seen it. I got hit in the fucking head with a battery just for existing next to these people. Like, they suck. Get away from it. The truth of the matter is, this is real. This is happening. And if you don't deal with it, you're going to be this asshole on TV saying these dumbass talking points with your other stupid friends who are living in your fantasy. And now you got a dead kid. I don't care if you got fucking two of them. One of them's dead. Okay? You raise him for how many? It's such a tragedy. The tragedy is that, like, we're watching this. Kevin Sorbo is going to get, rich off his Twitter payments. But the reality is you're watching this and nobody's learned. The truth of the matter is this is going to happen. People like this are being emboldened to the tune of almost $200,000. Like, they're putting their money where their mouth is. They think that this is fine. It's not fine. The lesson is just get away from it, man. Learn from this, or even warn your kids. Like, if you economically
don't make eye contact, don't be in their general vicinity. Like, I mean, no shit. That's literally
honestly,
shit that you
dude,
have
it's
to warn
fucking
people.
crazy, dude.
Yeah.
But this is how I had to behave when I was living in New York. When I go back, it's like, if I see this person and he's making hard eye contact with me, it's either I put my eyes this way, but he's in my peripheral at all times. I don't let him take my back. I watch where he's going. And you know what? It could be whatever. Call me racist. I'm alive. I've survived. I haven't been stabbed in the chest. It's a lesson to learn.
Yeah.
This isn't about race.
I grew up in a rough area, like a really rough area. And I grew up watching shadows. And I don't mean like looking at black people. I mean, like, when I'm walking home at night,
100%.
I would look to see if shadows were approaching me, because your shadow is stretched by the street lamps. So I would know, based off of whether or not I could see the head of your shadow, that I have a certain amount of like seconds before you catch up to me in the street at night. This is fucking ridiculous. And so, I mean, this conversation that we're having, I will admit, it is gross to hear a guy feel like he needs to be worried about these talking points. If my son got stabbed, that'd be the last fucking thing I'm worried about, is telling you that it's not a race war.
I would be out there telling you the truth. There would be a mob at my house, because I'd be like, yo, this is what you get. This is exactly what you asked for. This is what happens. It's unfortunate. I don't want it to be that way, but it's like, yo, if you're gonna have kids, especially young men, you have to warn them about what happens in these situations, because it's just a reality. I wish it wasn't, but it is, man. This is how I survived. This is how many people have survived.
Let me add into Tops, because I have a perspective on this I think will maybe surprise you guys, and it's because my stepdad is a New Yorker. He was raised in New York, so I understand. I think this is why Top and I get along so well, actually, is because I was raised by a guy who has Top's perspective, who, like, he was a Italian but looks like a white guy that grew up in New York around a lot of black dudes, and he got his ass fucking whooped by black dudes on the regular. So he's got a very very similar perspective to Top, in that, like, yeah, man, there's danger here, and you have to be fucking aware of it. And he taught me a lot of those traits of, like, just don't make eye contact with the homeless and blah blah blah, like that type of shit. So it's like, it is a survival tactic that if you grew up in these areas, you adopt it because you have to. So this is why I understand your perspective, but at the same time, at the end of the day, like 90+% of black people, to my understanding, never committed violent crime. So it's very hard to, but then that's a huge percent that will commit a violent crime too. So it's like, I don't know how you decipher it, and this is why it puts me in a tough spot.
If I'm in an environment, like if I'm walking where I used to work in Brownsville, go figure, great name, exactly what it is. And if I'm walking through this place, I am the only white face. And these people online call me brown, but they call
Isn't that where
me
Mike Tyson was born?
Yeah. This is, Brownsville, New York, like Linden Boulevard, shit like that. When you're walking down this place is fucking crazy. And it's just me, and the rest of the people are 100% black. So you're saying if only 10% are violent criminals, well, what's the chances? There's hundreds of them here. You just got to be careful, because a lot of them are really good people, but there's 10% that are fucking crazy, and you can spot them. You can spot.
Well, that's that notion of 13% of the population and over 50% of the violent crime. And I know there's some variance or whatever, and people, contest that. But my own living experiences showed me that that's likely very true. I just want to tell the story of what I went through, because I haven't told it on this show. It was a few months ago. I was picking my son up from school. My son had previously told me that he only had like 2 good buddies in school. As far as I'm concerned, that's really all you need is 2 good buddies. But he still, despite that, every day after school would say, "Hey, Dad, had a good day." Every time I said, how was your school? He goes, "Good day. It was a good day." And he's always saying that. And so one day I go, "Hey, you always tell me you had a good day at school, but you've also told me that you only have 2 friends at school, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Well, what are the other kids like?" And he goes, "Yeah, they're kind of assholes. They're always giving me a hard time, and whatever." So I have my suspicions because of my own lived experience, but I'm not going to put that on my son, and I'm genuinely not. Well, that barrier has since been broken after this, but I go, well, what are these other kids like? And I'm trying to find out some attributes about them without giving it away to him. And he goes, "I don't know. They're just like everybody else, I guess." And I go, "Okay, that's fair. What do they dress like?" And this is too vague of a question. He goes, "I don't know. Kind of dress like everybody else." I'm like, fuck, man. I got it. What are their names? And I figured these names will have a ring to them, and I'll be able to decipher who it is. The first one's name, I won't say it. I gave a fake name online. I said Jamal. And the second one's name, who I also gave a fake name for online, was Dayquil, which actually pissed off an incredible amount of people. And all I did when he told me their names is I said, "Okay, I see what's going on here." And there's a long silence in the car. And my son turns to me and he goes, "I never realized until now that they're all black." And dude, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I'm driving home. It's a short drive home. I go, Yep.
It's crazy,
it,
right?
So,
Same thing happened with my wife. When I met her, we were dating for a long time. She was like, "I don't know why you talk like this." And this was like early. This is like, you're talking about 21-year-old, 20-year-old top. So I was like, not as wild as it was, but I used to tell her, I'm like, "Yo, be careful." She's walking through Nostrand Avenue. Again, it's like Nostrand and Avenue X, very ghetto, right across from the projects, mad projects. And she had an encounter, and then she comes back to me. She goes, "You know what, man? You were 100% right." And I was like, I know I was right. But I was trying to warn you, like, you got to be careful, because like, something happens if you're putting yourself out there and you're not being careful, like, and all she did was walk on the side of the street where the projects were. Like, it's like project building, and then they have a courtyard where they hang out. And I was like, you walked over there, and then they started throwing shit at you. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I could have told you that.
I did that once, and I ended up taking
it's sad. It's completely sad, Clint. Like, I wish I didn't have to talk. I don't have to talk like this anymore because I'm not around it.
Right.
But my kids, unfortunately, they're going to have to learn that lesson. I don't know how to teach that to them without looking like a uber racist asshole, because you have to experience it. But hopefully you can experience it without getting, several shanks through the heart.
Well, hold on. I gotta finish this story. I'm almost done. By the way, I did that once where I didn't cross the street. I literally took a nap on the concrete because they hit me with a baseball bat.
My
Took a
cousin
nap.
Walk the Land Nick. Everyone knows Walk the Land Nick. He lived in Coney Island with me. He didn't cross the street either. They pistol whipped him in the back of the head. The dude had like brain trauma, ended up in the hospital. They shipped him off to Florida. I didn't see him for years and years and years. And I think he has some lingering issues from him. But it's just like, I don't know what to tell you guys. What you got to do.
Check this out. I go to Twitter and I just say, because my mother, she had that issue. We came from a rough neighborhood in New Jersey. I had the same issue. Now my son is having that issue. So I go to Twitter and I say the exact story that I just told you. Now, initially what happens is countless people, I didn't know this was going to resonate with people on this level. I had no idea. You know how weird it is whenever something goes like crazy viral. This went 18 million views, right? And initially it's all these people who are telling me the same story, dude. This happened to me. This happened to my daughter. This happens to my grandchildren. I have grandparents in the comments section telling me how sad it is that their grandson comes to them and cries about what's going on at school, and it's the same perpetrators, right? And so initially, this is the conversation that's happening. It gets to Black Twitter. Black Twitter decides immediately that I've lied and that I'm stoking racial flames. And their solution to this is to threaten me with death. They send me videos and pictures of mangled, dismembered white children. This is what my DMs get filled with. Countless death threats and countless pictures of dismembered babies, white babies. They then dox me. They then call CPS on me, and I get called into the school by the sheriff's office. I mean, so if you should, this is what this father is afraid of, by the way. And I'm not saying that I empathize with what he's doing, but this is what he's afraid of. The culture is stacked up in such a way that it's fucking threatening you. Go ahead, say it, bitch. Say it and watch what happens to you. That's what we're all subjected to.
Go ahead, raise money.
It's coming your way.
Raise money for some Canadian truckers. You're out. But it's like raise $200,000 for somebody who stabbed someone in the heart, and then the father's like, I hope he raises more money so that the defense is harder. It's like, are you out of your fucking mind? And then all that stuff, and we're supposed to care about the Houthis, Clint.
No,
I'm supposed to give a fuck about the Houthis.
They do make good music, though, dude. Not the Houthis, the blacks.
Oh yeah. Well, look, I've watched the. Maj Touré has been fighting the good fight for the past week on this issue, and I think that the obvious truth is that like there are proclivities that certain races have, and when it comes like his counter was, he's like, well, if I was a goofy, I'd point out that 80% of pedophiles are white men, and it's like, all right, yeah, but like if you're being honest about it, you probably wouldn't want a white man to be your babysit your kids. Like
let me tell you why that's bullshit though, because like you walk through the courtyards in the hood there that I'm talking about, and you just take a peek, and these girls are 12, 13, and the guys that they're fucking with 18, 21, 40. It is rampant. It's just,
I would say it's just underreported because
they don't like, the parents don't give a fuck. Like I'm telling you, Clint, I have been in these places like constantly my entire life, and it's like, so yeah, you could talk about the white pedophiles all you want, but yeah, dude, it's going on. They just don't call it that. They call it something different. I don't know. Sure.
Yeah, and it probably is underreported. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying, like, maybe the takeaway is you just don't want men around your kids. Like,
sure,
just like the vast majority of men, not pedophiles, would never hurt your kids. They'd probably kill a pedophile if they fucking encountered it, but the majority of pedophiles are going to be men. So you just got to fucking keep them away from your children. And I think that the unfortunate reality is like a lot of people are having the same conversation when it comes to violence in the black community. And they're saying, well, I would just rather not be around it. Yeah. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because there was this video that went viral yesterday. I shared it in, I think, the TG chat, so you may not be able to find it, but it's this black guy who's in, I don't know, some fast food joint. I can't remember what chain it was, but it's the entire thing is walled off with bulletproof glass.
Oh yeah.
The entire thing.
Yeah. I had commented on that because, man, I'm telling you, in the 90s, early 2000s, the KFC, it's not even a KFC. It was like one of those bootleg KFC joints run by an Arab dude. Same shit. It's been like that for years. You go to a liquor store,
Right.
you go to a convenience store, you go to a Dunkin' Donuts. Some of them have that in the hood. The last time I was in New York, the Slurpee machine at the 7-Eleven was locked up.
Yeah.
For what? I can't imagine a reason.
Well, it's because I'll tell you the reason is a lot of people just steal a ton of Slurpees. But so, anyways, the takeaway I had from this video, and I felt bad for the guy. He's this black guy who's videoing it, and he's like, they treat us like fucking animals, like, and I'm like, I get it. Like, if you're a peaceful person who purchases every item, and you know, you grew up in the hood, but you're a good guy, upstanding citizen, like, it sucks for you. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
But you also, but you also have to be honest with yourself that the reason you live in these conditions is because the people that look like you that live in that same town abuse the fuck out of all of these businesses, and they're now like, you'd think that these businesses want to invest probably tens of thousands of dollars into fucking bulletproof glass around the entire bitch.
Right.
Like, no, they don't. So they're doing it for a reason. So if you want to just like lament your living conditions and be like, oh, they're treating me like an animal, well, you have to deal with the fact that there's a reason that this is happening. And I think that that's the problem, is that we can't ever have that conversation without it just being, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're this, you're that. It's like, and that's kind of what Matt Walsh is attempting to do, but he's just doing it in such an over-the-top provocative way that I don't think that it's actually productive. I think it ultimately makes this conversation even more challenging.
Well, I tried to have that conversation, and it didn't work when I was trying to do it productively.
It's very much like the Jewish stuff that we always talk about. There's like this collective nature of, and I understand where Maj is coming from. Like, you have to defend this position because he is the black libertarian. So he has this identity. You have to defend this identity. But the truth of the matter is, man, after Sandy, once the water came down, hundreds, I mean, like almost all of them, people I knew, like, that were like halfway decent people, they're looting the banks, they're looting the stores and the pharmacies. And it's like, you live here. You live, they just busted the windows out of the banks. You're not getting into the vault, but they just did it just to do it. And it's like, I don't know, like, something happens when it's like, it's a lot of them doing something, they just join in. And I've been persecuted by it too. I went to Lincoln High School, and it's just like, this is the first high school that had metal detectors in it. And when somebody gets singled out or whatever, it's a feeding frenzy. So if there are like a couple that have abstained, most of them are like around chanting or doing like boom, boom, chat, boom, boom, like beats on lunch tables to like you getting beat up or it's crazy. It is fucking crazy. And I'm being told to not like address it or notice it.
You know what a good example is when California passed that law where anything underneath $1,000 isn't a crime, or I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass here. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I know that gave. This is fascinating. Josie says statistically 60% of black girls experience sexual assault before they turn 18. As in contrast to the 25% of white girls, it's underreporting. Right. So obviously very prolific, considering the girls are underage.
Josie with the fucking sledgehammer. God damn.
Yeah, dude. It's and that's what you don't want to say, right? When they go, well, what about white people doing all the pedophilia shit? You don't want to look them in the eyes and say, you don't take care of your kids, so you don't report it.
Oh.
But it seems, statistically speaking, that would be the case.
Oh man, this episode is going to
dude. But this is what happens.
This episode won't be banned, but this will inflame a lot of people. What do you want me to tell you? This is dangerous. It's like I'm just telling you what we've seen.
Yeah.
No, it's dangerous, but like those are also statistics. Like I think like my position has always been that I don't want to apply. Like at the end of the day, I really am an individualist. Like, I know that there are people of all walks of life that are fucking great people. So I don't want to judge you based off of how you look.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie about the fact that there are a proclivity for certain activities from people that look like you. Like, I have to be honest about that. And so, but like, can I have both of those thoughts without being pilloried? And it's like, no, you can't really. Like, you can't actually have nuance on this. You have to be like, no, we're all equal and we're all the same.
Clint, I've tried my best too. It's not even about like taking individuals, because like I'm the godfather to, but my friend is black. I'm the godfather to his kid. But when he's around a group of his friends, I don't even recognize him, man. I'm like, yo, am I safe here? I swear to God. And this shit happens all the time. It's like, yo, they'll switch on you in a second because you're not like them. That's just a simple fact. Like I'm not like you. And we can have a conversation one-on-one, but once it's like there's like a bunch of, there becomes this collectivism, and it's like it transforms into something else. It's a different culture that honestly I don't even think should be welcome in the United States of America. It's wild. It's a whole different.
Well,
it's
now,
a different
now we're
subsect.
really in trouble. But no, keep going.
Whatever.
I'm not trying to stop you. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a
You're
different
telling the truth.
subsect of America. Like you're not behaving like I was like ridiculed because I'm a Spanish guy, and they're like, you talk too white. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna fucking dumb down how I talk. I'm gonna say what I mean, and I'm gonna say it clearly because this is how I was taught to speak English. And
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I enunciate, bitch?
Yeah.
yeah, and my
many
accent's
syllables for you?
horrible. I have a horrible New York accent, but I still say words correctly, and I still say like the words that I mean to the specific meanings. And I'm not gonna use your slang unless I'm being sarcastic or I think it's hilarious. And I was pilloried for that. So I was like, what do you, I don't know. It's like, these are two different societies that are butted up against each other. Nobody wants to say anything. And they're like, well, coexist.
Well,
and
the same
here-
model, by
here's-
the way. Go ahead, Clint.
I just want to say, and the real problem, and I think this is what's happening as a reaction to this, is that because, as you described, like, yeah, you're the godfather. This is the perfect time to plug Liberty Lockdown. No, it's not. As you're saying, like, you're the godfather to a black, kid, and you have a good friend who's a black guy. It's like, but
I got a lot of friends too. Like I grew up in it. So it's like,
no, of course,
yeah.
of course. But the issue is, like, what you're describing is true. That when a lot of black people are around other black people, there is a collective identity that they take on that white people usually don't, or at least not to the like overt levels that the black community tends to.
The caricature levels.
Yeah, so I think that what's happening as a consequence of this, that like there hasn't been a demand on black people or the minority community to do what white people have done. And like the only standard has been placed on the white community that like everybody's equal and we're all the same, and we're just anybody that comes into your fucking community, you welcome them. It's like if you're a white dude and you move into an all black community, do you think that they're going to fucking be cool with you? Like no. Like for the most part,
the baseball bat.
yeah, they're like here comes the fucking white oppressor. It's like
or
so.
even if
But
they
hold
are
on.
cool with you, they just be like, yeah, but you whitey though. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Cool for a white boy. Coolest white boy.
Right. And there's similar activity if you're a black dude moving into a white community. So I'm not saying that
Sure,
either.
that's true.
But I'm just saying like, because it has not been an equal standard. Like, you have not expected the same from minorities as you have from white people. Now what you're seeing is the backlash.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're seeing people that go like, no, I am going to take on white identity, and I am going to look after my own, because that has been your mantra and your mentality, and an overt one, and an unabashed, unashamed one for the longest time. I mean, Killer Mike, who one of my favorite rappers, he goes on Bill Maher, he talks about politics all the time, and he openly talks about, we need to have Black Wall Street. We need to have a community filled with all black businesses. And I'm like, I'm applauding. Like, I'm not hating on it at all. But I'm just saying, if a white dude said that, you'd be like, fuck this guy. And he certainly wouldn't be on fucking Bill Maher's show. And if he were, it would be to be screamed at because he's such a racist piece of shit. But Killer Mike gets up there, and all of the white people in the audience, standing ovation. They fucking love what he has to say. So I'm just saying, because there are two standards, you're going to create conflict, and you're going to create white nationalism. Like, it has to be an equal standard for everybody, and if it's not, you're going to have backlash, and what we're witnessing now is the backlash.
It goes further than that too, though. It's not just this like double standard thing. It's also the whiteness, especially white males, have been pretty much the targeted group when it comes to being convinced that they themselves are just inherently toxic, inherently evil. We're the conquerors, right?
And they're the ones that have also been punished by the DEI.
Exactly. So
framework.
that's one element of it, right? We're the conquerors, we're the racists, we're the evil people. Everything that ever happens on the planet that's bad for native people or anything is always at the behest of us. But the other thing that they've done too is this, and I know we weren't going to talk about the Jews, but the model is the same. And that model is a victimhood class, right? So you have this victimhood class that identifies with their victimhood, but then of course, if you should say anything about them, you are the perpetrator and you're taking advantage of this victimhood class. So the being a victim not only galvanizes them to each other, but it also makes it so that if you launch any accusations or even just criticism, even just like statistically backed criticism, to even have the conversation, you're immediately a piece of shit. And the other thing that they have in common is the same way you couldn't talk about the Jews for the longest time until recently, you also couldn't talk about the blacks. And so you're not allowed to talk about them. If you do talk about them, you're an evil piece of shit. And also, you are starting from a lesser point to them because whiteness is evil. It's toxic. It's that of the conqueror. And so the whole dynamic, once again, I'm forced to ask, is this a purposeful pressure cooker situation? You subvert the conversation. You get the, one group to adhere to victimhood. You get the other group to adhere to conqueror. You know what I mean? That's become the identities of white people and the identities of black people.
This happened in the Roman Empire. This is what this actually is what happened to the Jews. They have this collective identity. So the Roman Empire had them come in, they kind of mixed them up. So that way they would be taken into their society and things would be smoother. But this is just the opposite. This is like taking in and black people, we could talk about them, but this is every single demographic that we've let into America or that has come into America. We've created these like subsections and ghettos and we've told them, stay exactly how you are. You're perfect. Don't worry about assimilation. And we can talk about assimilation being an issue as well, because when you have everybody that's American and we're like, hoorah, then we can get something like the Iraq War 2000s America, which is not good either. So there's a fine line, but I think it's much worse when you have 40 different cultures in America and none of them want to embrace one of the place where they're at. So everyone's doing their own thing and being told that you're great. At the same time, the larger culture, which they came into, you have to punish them. So that way they have, like, by punishing them or threatening them, it allows these other cultures to subsist and grow and become emboldened where they're at. And now we have this issue, and it's everywhere you turn. It's every single culture. You're not allowed to really criticize any culture. None of them are eager to assimilate or become American at all. They fly their own flags. You can see Mexican flag, Puerto Rican flag, Indian flag, whatever. They're their own thing in America. So it's like, well, what is this place then?
None of them are eager to assimilate, but they are eager to adhere to that identity that our culture gives them. Our culture, it's been thrust upon us. It's been manufactured, but that culture says like, hey, you fit right here into this like cute little victim class, and you get all kinds of perks for associating yourself with that. So they don't want to assimilate to whatever Western culture is, but they'll happily assimilate to victimhood culture.
Well, I think just to piggyback off of your earlier point, David, like I think that as I said earlier, like the double standard creates backlash. Mm-hmm. So many in the Jewish community in America, they are the top proponents of mass migration and open borders, but simultaneously they have incredible dual loyalties and allegiance to Israel, mm-hmm. and Israel has probably the strongest borders in the world next to North Korea. Mm-hmm. And it's like well, so what is your principle here? Yeah. It's like defend your own, but fuck you. Is that kind of what you're saying to me? Because if that's what you're saying, well then fuck you too. That's how people start to react.
But I was listening to Elijah Schaffer when he made his appearance on Timcast, and he was talking about this statistic or this study that showed that white people are the only ethnic group without group preference. So any other ethnic group that's polled will display in-group preference. It just simply means they prefer their own people. But white people were the only ones who would espouse out-group preference. And I don't even think that that's true. But I think the same way that father was on that, stage at that podium, whatever, he's having that discussion in front of this press, and he's saying, out of all the things he could be talking about, this is not a racial thing. This isn't racist. This has nothing to do with the race war. It's like that thing that compels you to say that, even at your most dire moment where your son has died, is the same thing that compels people to espouse. I don't think they really believe it, but they do say it, and that's that prefer a multicultural. No.
This is where you and I part ways. I think they absolutely believe it. I think
that's disheartening. I don't want to believe that.
Well, yeah, I would prefer not to either. But like, I don't think that is his programming. Like he's already in a point of like probably fight or flight. For the past 48 hours.
So now it's just autopilot.
It's all autopilot. Exactly right. So whatever he's saying during that period is just the script that runs in his brain automatically without any actual rational thought. Because if you're having rational thought, your son was just killed brutally by a black kid, and you're not thinking rationally. But if you are thinking rationally, you're like, fuck that kid. That's the only thought. That's the only thought you would have. Like, let's just be honest. If you're thinking rationally, you're like, I want that kid in prison or worse. That's the only rational thought you have. But he doesn't have that thought because his script, his programming is so deep that he can only think one thing, which is, let's focus. Everybody's the same. I have compassion for him. He's probably a victim. Do you know what kind of conditions he probably was raised in? He was impoverished, blah, blah, blah. You know, that type of shit. But the truth is, hold on. The truth is, this kid fucking grew up in the neighborhood of your own son.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about? Like, it's not some fucking, backwoods hood or something like that. It's just,
well,
it's
I
sad,
fear
man.
that you're correct, that it is. But I want to address this. This is from Anti-Speciesist. She said, because you know how ChatGPT will kind of tell you what you want to hear. It also has a left-leaning bias because that's probably the majority of the conversation on Twitter, or at least was. ChatGPT said this about why black girls don't report their child's sexual abuse. Black girls often don't report sexual abuse due to the fear of harming black men and how society views them. And you know what is so fucked about that? That is 100% a talking point that I could see being leveraged in this greater conversation.
But that's not even true though. They don't do it because
no, I don't think it's true at all. But I mean, you could hear that talking point. It would be espoused.
They actually in the culture, it's not that it's enjoyed, but it's like a status.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah. I was like, I fucked that nigga. It's like, that's what they think that's cool. It's celebrated in their culture. So it's not like they don't care if they get him in trouble. As a matter of fact, they might end up killing each other shortly thereafter.
It's almost a natural product when your father's absent, right? Like you have young girls whose father's absent. They're longing for some connection to an older man. And so
that's very common across all cultures. Like if your father is not in the home, like girls in that condition, white girls too, they end up, having sex much younger and getting pregnant much younger, having kids much younger. So
having sex with older men. And for the boys, it's violence and prison time, or death.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of white girls having sex with older men, I got into a little bit of a conflict with Phil Labonte this week.
Oh yeah. What was that all about? He's like my favorite.
I love how Top frames these things. It's like, I fired a vicious shot at Phil Labonte is how it ought to be started. But go ahead.
I feel like I didn't fire a vicious shot at him. I feel like I only responded in kind, which he deserved.
I didn't see what he said because it was deleted.
Well, we have to go back a couple of months to what he said when we spoke with Dave Smith on our
you're right.
show.
I take it back. He did fire the first shot. Go ahead.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
100% he did.
100% he did. He called our show a C-list show. He's correct. But there was no reason to do that. Like, he's got a big platform and he's doing his thing with his music.
Can I say for the audience, because they don't know what the hell happened. Back when we were doing Nephilim Death Squad and we were going to have Dave Smith on, and Clint was on that show as well. Dave Smith announced that he was going to be on this up and coming show. We were pretty new in the grand scheme of things.
Shout out to Dave Smith too for like a very cool giving us his time.
Yes.
Shouldn't have done it.
Correct.
And and then even tweeting about it.
Right. So what Phil
I thought it was a
Labonte
great
ends up
conversation
doing-
too.
It was a great conversation.
I wish we could revisit it. Like, I had issues with my Roadcaster where I was like getting stomped on a little bit, and I feel like we circled some points that we should have moved on from and could have taken the time. But whatever. I'm just critical of.
I mean, still though, grateful for his time.
It was a great conversation.
But what Phil did, that you could say a lot of things. You can call me a faggot and a retard and dunk on me all day long. But what you can't do is get in the way of something that I am pouring blood, sweat, and tears into. I'm trying to build something here. And what Phil Labonte does is he gets in front of it. When he sees Dave Smith tweet that he's going to be on this show, he goes, hey, isn't that like early career shit? That's what he said. He said, isn't that early career shit? Meaning, in other words, you don't have to be on this show. You don't know these people. They're not significant. They're not special. You're above that. This is doing nothing for you, Dave Smith. Why are you doing that?
Here's the omission in that statement from him, and why I know it comes up as pure hate. Number one, he unfollowed me after I was like, why'd you do that? He unfollowed me. Number two, hasn't blocked me. So you're telling me that you understand I am significant in this, in whatever we're doing here, whatever I'm doing here, but you still want to stand in the way and talk shit. So when I see you do dumb shit, I'm going to talk shit as well. So let's pull up the fucking picture. And I wish I could read you guys what he posted originally, but he ran from his original statement. It was a video of Dave Smith that was unfairly clipped from his Rogan appearance, and he was talking about Churchill, and he was talking about that guy Daryl Cooper, saying that Churchill might have been worse than Hitler. Whatever. It was opinion, is neither here nor there. And it was also clipped unfairly because Dave went on for another 2 minutes to explain, like, yeah, but Churchill and Hitler both kind of suck anyway. It's like, this is like low-level talking point shit. But if you want to call Dave Smith a Nazi or if you want to defend Israel at all costs, you'll jump all over it. And that's what Phil did. He jumped all over it. And Dave is basically like, wow, dude, like, you kidding me? Like,
he says, I'll just read it because most people haven't seen this, I'm sure. So Dave responds to this out of context clip in Phil's comment, and he says, wow, great insight, Phil. Maybe watch the whole clip and see how intentionally dishonest this guy is being. You are on the level of the corporate media reporting on the very fine people comment right now. And
accurate. And then I just replied, you've sat across from Phil how many times and still haven't noticed how useless of a thinker he is.
Scroll down.
You got a way with words, dude. You really,
Phil responds, hey, Top, go fuck yourself.
Very funny. Hilarious. I mean, there's really no other response. You should have just ignored me. But then, then we have to go back to the fact that you deleted your original comment and had to backtrack it because you realized that, oh shit, I'm on Tim's show and Dave is a big guest that actually brings in views. So I better not sink that boat there. I just thought it was like, it's just completely disingenuous, man. Like, don't frame Dave Smith's narratives in this way, the way you did when you know the guy, you've sat down across from him and you've spoken with him. Like, what is your agenda here? I feel like it's fair for me to ask, if you know somebody personally and then you go to this length to misconstrue what they're saying to your audience of how many people, 200,000 followers on Twitter, I feel like either you're stupid or you're trying to, it was like malicious. And I don't appreciate that. As somebody who's very malicious at Dave Smith, I don't appreciate you being malicious towards Dave Smith when it's unfounded like this. You know
what I think it is? I think that he was just stupid. He was simply wrong. He watched the clip. He thought it was crazy. He didn't watch the full context. And the correct response in that situation is, fuck, I'm a retard and totally did exactly what you just accused me of. My fucking bad. And then you leave that shit on there, by the way. You leave what you said and you have that hang out there on the internet.
See, I don't agree with that. I think deleting it is totally fair. And he did follow up with a tweet saying, I've deleted a post because I realized that it was taken out of context. But he did not apologize to Dave. He did not actually correct the record. So, I'm the type that if you're my friend, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And I'm gonna absolutely make sure that I have this right before I post anything. So I think it was very haphazard. I don't understand how you fall for that. I'll just be honest, and I'm good friends with Phil. I think that the truth is that Phil does have some of this ride or die mentality when it comes to the historical narratives of war. And you see it with Israel-Palestine too. He is very adamantly opposed to any heterodox view of the history of the war between Israel and Palestine. He doesn't want to hear it when it comes to World War II. He doesn't want to hear it. The fact that Dave and Martyr May, Daryl Cooper, and others are popularizing these concepts that challenge these kind of foundational myths of America, he doesn't like it. It's weird because he is a libertarian, or he doesn't really describe himself that way, but he's got a lot of libertarian instincts. But one of the libertarian instincts he does not hold is he does not challenge historical narratives of war, which is bizarre because every good libertarian I know is very red-pilled when it comes to war propaganda because we all lived through it with the fucking WMD hoax and everything else. And I could go on other hoaxes that led us into wars. But I think it's just fascinating, and it shows a blind spot in his worldview. And I would talk to him about this. This is why I feel comfortable saying it here because he's a friend of mine. But I think that he has a blind spot when it comes to these things because it challenges kind of a foundational premise by which he establishes his worldview, which is that America is good. That despite the fact that maybe he doesn't want as much war as we've participated in, he still wants to feel good about our interventions in the rest of the world and that we're doing it for the benefit of the people, that type of mentality. Sorry for
sympathetic.
Sorry for the psychological analysis, but that's what I think.
No, look, that's fair though. This is a guy that you know, and you're giving him your psychoanalysis, or at least your interpretation of what his worldview is. And I would agree with what you're saying. I think that there's a bit of ego, and when you have to take apart some of these building blocks that would be taken apart by certain narratives that Dave and Daryl are talking about, your whole house of cards could come crashing down. And with somebody that has an ego like that and that's built up all of these, built up this sandcastle on possibly a narrative that's not true, it's probably hard for him, That's a death. And
yeah,
I would just say don't take it so seriously, man. You didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I know this is because I've done the show with him a bunch of times, and when I talk about this stuff too, I always sense that he's just oh, you're crazy, you know? And which is it's just, as I said earlier, it's very odd because amongst libertarians, this is very common to challenge these, you know, foundational myths about military, you know, empire building. It's like, yeah, this has all been to the detriment of the American people and to the people of the world, like quite evidently. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting, but you have to be better. Like when you're dealing with a guy who's an obvious ally, Dave is an obvious ally to someone like Phil. You just cannot fuck up in that way. Like I've had fuck ups in the past, but it's always been fuck ups against people that I don't like, you know, so I'm being sloppy because I'm like, fuck these people. Even if I'm wrong, they're still scumbags. So like, who really cares? But it's like,
feels good.
well, no, I don't mean it like that, but I just mean like, I'm still right to be dunking on this person. Like Dave is a fucking, like, he's your guy. You have to make sure that you have this right. And even if you are right, it's still like, why are you taking a shot at Dave, man? Like, why? Like, you must be really upset about what he has to say here. And I think that kind of lends credence to my thesis that, like, yeah, he really doesn't like the fact that Dave is challenging the World War II myth. Like, he hates it because that's the only reason you take a shot publicly at Dave. Like, that you have to be really upset about that. So I think that's,
I
interesting.
I took a shot at him also at Dave. This is just because I'm fair. You know, I was like, we're going to defend Dave, but then I think that I thought he was wrong here. Turns out that I may have fell for the same trap as this retard. But it was a Christian Malazarte. He's like a Mises Caucus guy, some kind of designer, good dude. He clipped Dave talking on part of the problem about tariffs. But apparently this was a section where he was talking about the defense of the MAGA people, the defense that they have of tariffs, where it's like, you know, it can do no wrong. That wasn't really inserted in the clip, but what I did see was Dave basically, like, it seemed like I was like, are you obfuscating the idea that this is possibly a negotiation tactic? Because if you are, I'm like, that's a little dishonest. And then I'm like, are you playing to your, like, a libertarian base? Because I'm like, that's the worst thing in my opinion, it's the worst thing you can do when there is, like, clear and evident truth out there. Like, just tell the truth. So I didn't watch the whole episode, but apparently that part was addressed previously before that statement. And then he went and he made that argument, well, if this is an argument just against the MAGA base that is saying tariffs are a good in and of itself, then. And I'm like, okay, then I understand your argument. So sorry for not watching your show. It's probably paywalled as well, but yeah, I will apologize on that. But I also didn't call him like whatever Phil called him. It wasn't malicious. I was just like, hey, wait a second. Like, I think you know that this is a negotiation. And I'm right. He did know. And Tom Woods actually chimed in. He was pretty upset about it, but for other reasons, which I'm not really sure about.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the unfortunate reality, and I've grown quite accustomed to this because I've been dragged through the mud mercilessly for out of context clips of me nodding as someone on my show said something I don't even agree with. So, yeah, I'm used to it. It's very unfair. It comes with the territory. I just really don't like it when it's done to me by friendlies. You know, then I'm like, then I have to totally reassess like what you're about, because like I would never do that to a friendly. So I don't know. It's kind of in the weeds. So
I was just saying they're a negotiation tactic. This is fairly simple to see if you're not being disingenuous to appease your base. So I'm kind of like asking a question, like, what are you doing here, man? Because that was weird. Like, I know what Dave knows. You know, he's a very smart guy. So I'm like, there's no way that he just did that, and he didn't. So thank God. Again, he very consistent dude. The only thing he's missed on is I think Kanye West, but that's a weird one too.
Well, I think that verges into personal territory for Dave because he's Jewish.
Right.
And I think it makes it really hard for him to look at this in an unpersonalized way. And I don't blame him. Like, no matter how much we all try, there is a level of like even with the case of the white kid getting stabbed by the black kid, like I can't help but relate more to the white kid. Like I can't. All right. Just being honest. Like I immediately read that story and I'm a little bit more upset because it was a white kid. Sorry. Like I think that's how everybody actually deals with these things. If they're being honest.
Are you showing in-group preference? That's not
how
typical.
Dare you.
I know it's not permissible to talk about, but I think everybody does it innately. And it's like white people are the only ones that fight that instinct, though. I just want to point that out. Like everybody else goes like, yeah, I'm of course, I'm ride or die for the black dude in the story because I'm black.
It
But
works
the
the
white
other
people
way too. It's
pretend.
not just empathy. It's also like when you see a character that you resonate with, right? So like you're watching like it's why I get so upset when I look over at children's cartoons and all the strong leads are fat black lesbians, and I'm like, because my kid can't identify with that character, and
But
I don't really know any fat black lesbians.
I gotta say though, this is the exact argument that the DEI folks had been making when they started to replace white leads with black leads, and everybody like me argued against it, saying, "Why can't a black kid relate to Peter Parker? Like, why can't he?"
Or just make your own shit. Stop making them. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the weird thing.
That's the better answer, in my
That's a much
opinion.
better answer. Yeah.
Isn't it a testament to how effective the strategy is, though? Because like in it's in our soul, we understand that works. Like we're showing you Prince Charming, and then we're like, our children will emulate this. I want them to do this. And the other side, or whatever they are, they look at it and they'll be like, well, Prince Charming's gay now. And we understand we're showing this to children. This is going to be replicated on a higher level. It's just it's just a truth, So are we going to allow it to happen is a question.
The problem is that this DEI framework, which was brought in to try and diminish white supremacy or whatever, what it's actually created though as a consequence is like white people now recognizing race and talking about it, and that was like a thing we did not do.
Yeah, in the 90s, they taught us to not see color. And by the way, Josie's correct about the replacing ginger thing. I don't know why, but it specifically happens, especially in the Marvel universe, to the tone of like damn near 100 characters so far. Almost 100 characters that were white redheads have been replaced by black actors. Very strange. And I want to show this because I didn't think we were going to talk about it, but
I don't really care.
Apply.
I don't really care about it because I'm not ginger. See how that works?
This is funny because Leonardo says, Beyonce, I'm so proud to be black. Also, Beyonce, hold my wig. So this is Beyonce right here, several shades lighter than she was when she first came on the scene in Destiny's Child. And it's a fact that Beyonce is the face of her own brand, promoted her with her real hair, no big influencers, yada, yada, yada. It's just amazing to
her brand. Her brand is called Sacred, by the way, but it's CE with the little fucking dash.
It's retarded.
CRED.
What I've noticed is that the same people who are, especially in the music industry, who are espousing kind of like this sentiment of black is beautiful and black people are, they're like a lot of what Jay-Z and Beyonce are doing are trying to elevate the black community. But at the same time,
but they're adopting white aesthetics.
I mean, not just adopting white aesthetics. It's like their skin color is, adopting white aesthetics sounds like, I don't know, putting on a cowboy hat. I don't know. And she did do that, right? She won like
she fucking when created it came in. Country album.
Yeah, she had the best country album. But she also just continually looking whiter and whiter as time goes on. Lil' Kim did the exact same thing, right? If you look at Lil' Kim now, not only does she have big cat face because it's so filled with, plastic surgery and shit, but she presents as a white woman now. If you watch a lot of these female black empowerment kind of Hollywood elites, they all turn white after a while. And so
what's funny to me is that Beyonce is becoming a white woman. Yeah. While Jay-Z is becoming more and more of a caricature of like a black slave in the 1800s.
It's like, insane how he looks.
If you look at like his hair is like unkempt, it's just out of control. It's just
buckwheat, man.
No, it's just funny because like they're going in totally different directions. But I've always found it fascinating that like that black aesthetics or like beauty products are all about making them look more white. Like look at him, dude.
Yeah, Nancy says Vivek is getting lighter and lighter too. I think he's trying to use white people. Yeah,
he was like brown looking before.
Crazy. Interesting.
Yeah. Look, I know. Look, when you're not like black,
that's a Jamaican thing. You guys,
summertime
know that, right?
Does take effect on you. Like you do get darker.
True.
It's a big Jamaican thing. Like the bleaching that was in old school, not old school reggae, like not Bob Marley, but like the dancehall reggae. They started bleaching from like there, and it became an issue.
It's a simple question, right? If black is beautiful and black culture is superior and Yakub made the white man, why are you wearing white women's wigs? Why are you lightening your skin? I don't even look at that as like, a genuine, like, why are you doing that? Is the industry moving you in this direction? Because I'm willing to accept that it's not Beyonce's idea to lighten her skin. Is the industry moving the artists in that direction? Is it maybe it's because the black community here, let's take a generous look at this. The black community is too small of a demographic to count for significant record sales, especially because they steal most of them. And so you have to become relatable to white people. Is that what the move is? I mean, it could be that innocent. Not that is innocent, but it doesn't have to be nefarious. It could just be, hey, we need you to start aiming. That's why Beyonce does country music, right? She does country music because that's a big demo. It's untapped. You can get a lot of people from there. You got to look relatable to the white people, though.
I think it's pretty simple, is that if you popularize natural black hair, well, then you don't need to sell them products to straighten it.
Ooh, touche.
Damn.
So, very simple, right?
Back to the
hair
Jews, huh?
industry, like for ethnic
I did
hair,
not say that.
is crazy. Like how big that industry, how many products are in it. Also, the products, they poison you, they're bad for you. You shouldn't put them in your hair. But yeah, there's definitely something to that. Either that, or somebody came along and they said, you know what? Why don't we stop taking black people and having them replace white people? Why don't black people just doing their own thing? And then the industry was like, turns out they don't even want it. So back to marketing towards white people.
Maybe things are just objectively cool, and it's not necessarily from, like, not everything good is from one side. So like, black people do cool shit. Like I just bought a bunch of Jordans. Cool shoe, dude. Probably designed by a Chinese slave, but like popularized by a black man. And it's like, I like them. I think that they look really nice. They have a really cool style. Yeah. White women are beautiful, objectively. Like long, straight blonde hair. I understand that. Like my hair is not like that, but it's like, yeah, I like the straight hair.
But it could be.
I got to point this out though, because just as I said that they're not allowing for black women to have their natural hair because then they can't sell them product. Mm-hmm. Same fucking shit from the marketing community was levied against the white women. If you remember in the 80s, every white woman, which naturally most white women have straighter hair, all of them were fucking blown out, big perms and shit and hairspray, everything else. So I think the reality is that like all you have to do to sell product is to make sure that people don't want to be how they are naturally. And then that's it. But as a consequence of that, you've essentially made women fucking psychopaths.
Jeez,
where like they despise how they are naturally built and look. I'm actually, this will be an interesting conversation with Josie if she wants to talk to me about it. But I do think that that's a big part of it, is just like, well, you can't allow for your normal look because then we can't sell you anything.
Yes.
It's the
I
most
think
genius market.
You might be right over the target.
It's the most genius market to target with it, because they are like, women by default are very unhappy
Neurotic.
with how they look, even if they like are
Right.
beautiful
And they're
out
stupid
the box.
too.
Yeah.
Easy
Not
to
very
manipulate.
smart.
Yeah.
Very
and then
weak.
you just pair that with some
Can't
money.
bench press for shit.
No,
bench
definitely
press.
can't bench press. Are you kidding me? Can't fight either. Yeah, I think there might be something to
Facts.
that. And then what they're also doing, by the way, is women's, sort of beauty products, massive industry. But they're now finding out that the vast majority of the products that you're slathering on your skin and you're putting in your hair and it's sitting there all day getting absorbed are endocrine disruptors.
Shout
They
out
are
Ian Carroll.
fucking your hormones up, baby. And you're just fucking, basically soaking in them all day long. It's a wild thing.
Why is our lower Chiron Ian Carroll gay?
Because he got famous from that. I did it. He got famous from it. He's going around to the stores and telling you what's in the shampoos. And it's
right.
Yeah, like some of this stuff is actually making you go
Oh
bald.
no, that's true. Yeah. And he partners with companies that do that.
Yeah, he nailed it. See, I like Ian Carroll. I'll give him his flowers.
He's cooking.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Dangerous Retards episode 8. As you guys know, we were supposed to go every Thursday. We skipped a Thursday, so we're doubling up this week. So we will be back with you in 3 days on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you spread the word. Tell your friends and family. Share it around. Make sure you, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, it'd be great if you guys could start smashing those 5-star reviews on there to help with the algorithm, because this is a brand new RSS feed and there's really no traction whatsoever. So if you enjoy this show, spread it around. We are certainly dangerous and retarded, and we're talking about all the shit you're not supposed to. I hope we're doing it in a way that is elucidating and not just entirely divisive, but I try. And love you guys. Yeah, that's it.
Also, let us know if there's something you think we don't have the balls to talk about.
Oh no, don't do that, guys.
Send it our way.
We'll see you on Thursday. Clint, thank you for showing up.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Bye,
Thanks for not being sick, you piece of shit.